Isn't that great?
I'm gone, baby. Tell them, baby, we gone.
Freedom. I was curious about what the speakers are going to talk about. Kind of thought that possibly with a day like today, that word would come up. I served in the military, as many have, and when I was over in Germany in the 70s, had the privilege to go visit Berlin. How many saw the wall of Berlin? Raise their hand, please.
Person or TV?
The Berlin Wall. Had the privilege to go there as a young man. I was probably not paying attention of what was at stake on the day that they actually cut buildings in half and plastered through the windows and left the curtain in the window as they separated the East from the West. I didn't really pay attention that much as I was looking over at the sites of the buildings that they left as monuments of being under the war, with the west side of the developed civilization of the city that grew around it, with McDonald's and whatever else of the time was there. I was too busy wanting to go party on the underground of the little city that was under the city, and I was too busy to pay attention, but they gave us the opportunity to stand next to the new wall, and then they had observation towers that you could look over at the old wall. It was interesting that on the top of the wall they had broken glass of different colors. And then as you saw the curtains that were there from those many years ago, still with the concrete through the window, you cast your eyes up over the wall into no freedom, into a city that had people still walking the streets that looked just like the ode of the way it was in a time that stopped, with cars that didn't change and drabs of colors that weren't there. I saw people sitting in windows, and it was so common of the technology and the freedom of the buildings that grew on the west, and yet their eyes cast and they didn't even see what was there. And so what I'd like to do now is to take an opportunity, and we've got a board in front of us. And we're gonna let this board go among everybody, and I want to continue talking, but I want you to sign this. This is our Freedom Board. This is a statement that you can place your name on this board as an example of stating that you're free. So guys, if y'all just go ahead and start meandering around the crowd, and we'll keep it at a minimum. So as I stood on that tower and I looked across that and I saw those people in their windows, I wondered what would life be if on that day they built that tower, that wall, that I was on the wrong side. What would I do? And so when I went to Checkpoint Charlie and I looked at the rescues, or the ways that they try to make themselves free, and I saw the tunnels that they would build and the cars with the compartments that they put people in to escape to freedom, I started wondering about what would it be like to be on that side. And so we got on our uniforms, we were in our dress uniforms, and we got on a bus and we went to Checkpoint Charlie. And as the soldiers walked in with their arms, and remember this is in the 70s, so it was pretty active on the Cold War, and as they walked up and down the aisle of the bus looking at us and staring at us, and they had their binoculars on the towers on their side with the sand line with the X's for the tank stops, and they said that what they would do is they would put soldiers from different parts of the country to guard together that didn't know each other, because they had found that if they became friends they would plan an escape as a soldier. So what they would do is they would make sure that you didn't know who was with you. It could be the KGB. So the fear of guarding and that line, they were in fear. So we checked through Checkpoint Charlie and we went to a large plaza. Saw the buildings of the buildings similar to that one that was right there, and that was their housing. They were modular. And then they had large flags that draped down with pictures of their leaders. As I walked around, I had a lot of the East German marks in my pocket, and I went into the store and I saw nothing but bareness, and I didn't see anything that I could really want to buy as a souvenir. And when I did want, on the exchange rate, I didn't have enough money, so I didn't know what to do with my East German marks. I was dressed in a uniform, and I walked up to someone on the plaza, and I said, surely they could use this more than I. So I handed a 50 East German mark out, and I said, here, you can have this. I was in uniform. They said, no, no, no. I forgot they take pictures. I forgot that the government can oppress the people. And I realized that they could not even have the freedom to accept something from a stranger. And so there I was, a young man, wondering, how can I help these people? So I took a little bit of time that was fun for me, and I basically started wadding up money. And as I walked, I dropped it. And then I would move off to a distance, and I would just look at that money that I dropped to wait to see what person would pick it up. Maybe I could bless them that way. And so I noticed that they would walk, and many would pass it, and then one would see it, and then they would stomp on it. And then they would look around, and then they would drop something and pick it up and go about their way. It made me happy to realize that as I was a free man, I could give, and that they that was oppressed, that they could receive. It's sad to think that there are people in this world who do not want you to have your freedom. It's even sadder to think that they may be in our government.
All right. Yeah.
I gave away all my money. I walked the plaza, and there was a little bench off to the side of the grass by the plaza, and there was this older couple. They were so cute. They must have been in their 70s. As I walked over to them and I sat down beside them, they spoke English. It was really interesting. As I asked if I could have my picture taken with them, he leaned over to me and he said, I have family in New York. They made it out, but we're here. And then he just leaned over, as just, I guess, in his normal conversation, which made me have a blank in my face. He said, you may take your picture if you promise not to use it against me. We don't think that way, Americans. We don't think that way, but there are those ways in this world. And today we stand here as we can say, we will fight and defend our country, that we will take those that choose to have harm towards us, and we will resist. We will resist with those that serve in our armed forces around our world as they dodge bullets and hit and take bullets, and those that give up their limbs, those that are on lonely duties of guard of something that seems to be of no importance, and yet it's guarded 24 hours a day, and Christmas comes and Christmas goes, and Thanksgiving will be without. As the day may be cold or it may be hot for them, as it may be day and it may be night, as they sit there with their weapon locked and loaded, guarding whatever it is that their assignment is to do, be it in the cold, and be it maybe late at night when the fog sets in, wondering who cares. Today I stand before you as that is what I have done. And those are the lonely days that I have had. And I wondered if anybody would ever know, but now you do. But so are other fellow soldiers doing the very same thing today. As we take this time and we gather together today in our freedom to drink our drinks, to carry our flags, to have our banners, let us take a moment to understand that there are those who wonder, does anybody care about me as a soldier? Or those who maybe are safe but yet far away from home. I don't ever want to forget those that sacrifice for us to have the ways that we live. But today,